this morning, you don't need anything but things that make you feel comfortable. And for the beginning, we will also start lying down as we do most of the times. So if your space is fine, just lie yourself down. For anyone with shoulder problems, you can basically copy me. I'm resting my left arm still. If you feel comfortable to do some of the movements, please feel free. But in general, as we come to our practice and there's stuff going on, whatever that might impact in the body or in our mind, we will try and accept just as is and tailor the practice to your own needs. So making sure that you're taking good care of yourself. As you lie down on your back, basically you can simply be comfortable, whether that's with knees bent or legs long, knees out or knees in is absolutely up to you. You might snuggle your shoulder blades a little bit under, getting a sense of broadening through the space in front of your collarbones. Palms of your hands might be facing up, and allowing your body then to release and relax into the ground. Feeling and touching upon the breath that is flowing through the nostrils. Allowing this light openness across your chest to assist you with the in-breath as well as with the out-breath. And if you like, on the exhalation, you can gently draw on the lower abdomen and draw that down towards your tailbone to assist the out-breath. But then relaxing the whole area as you breathe into belly, ribs, collarbones, out from the belly to the ribs, to the collarbones. Please continue your full yogi breath like that. Maybe adding a light constriction there also in the back of the throat, creating a soft oceanic sound. Ujjayi breath. If you're already feeling the breath isn't flowing too smoothly, please let that be and just concentrate mainly on the exhalation, but let the inhalation be full as well, or as much as is possible. As you find your own personalized pattern of breathing, let it establish itself for the practice. Maybe also with that setting a tone for the rest of your day. As your breath becomes more balanced or at ease, we will still stick with the topic of water today. Water, the element that we relate to during the winter months. If you happen to do this practice at another time, it never hurts to flow. This is what water is about. It's about creating a flow and allowing things to flow. So you also, when we have challenges facing us, or we are facing them, a good way to find the flow, just as you're finding the flow of your breath at the moment, allowing yourself to be nourished by the idea of water and how water flows over and around obstacles, embracing them as they arise. With your next exhalation, then let your right knee come over the chest and give it a squeeze. Starting to rotate your ankle, moving through the foot. And then changing direction of the circles. Then pause that. If it feels right on your next exhalation, put your nose up towards the knee. Before you lie your upper body back down. Placing the right hand onto the kneecap, the left hand onto the hip. And circling the knee without moving your hip too much. That's why we're resting the hand onto the hip bone. So you get a feeling here of how far or how close do you want to stay with the circles of your knee. And also here, changing the direction. And land your foot down close to your extended leg and let your knee roll out to the side, the sole of the foot lightly touching the inner thigh or somewhere against the leg. Placing your hands loosely onto your lower abdomen and flexing your left foot. Inhaling through your nose. With the breath from your mouth, lifting your upper body and looking down in the direction of the toes. Inhaling, lie back. Exhaling, lift. Inhaling, lie back. And one more time, exhaling to lift. Releasing head and shoulders down. You might use your right hand to help your knee up. To bring your knee up, place the left hand onto it and let the right arm fall out. Keep your shoulders on the ground and just roll into a light twist. Knee coming across. If you feel the hold is rather challenging, you could move slightly in and out of the twist. Trying to extend into that twist with a movement rather than force. Then rolling again onto your back, either stepping the right foot down or having both legs extended for a moment. Hugging then your left knee to the chest. As you draw it in, hold it tight and begin to circle your foot. Maybe you feel that underneath the hands, they're holding on across the shin and changing direction of the circles. As you pause this movement, inhale, and with the exhalation, maybe the nose lifts up to the knee. And releasing the upper body back down. Let your left hand rest on your kneecap and your right hand on your hip bone. Begin to circle your knee while holding onto the pelvis and trying to stabilize the pelvic area. Not really with your hand, but with your core strength. Changing directions of the knee circles. As you pause that, place your foot down quite close towards your extended leg before letting your knee roll out to the side. Hands can touch lower abdomen. Bring a flexion into the right foot on your extended leg, inhaling through the nose. Breathing out of your mouth and lifting the upper body, looking towards the toes. Inhaling, lie back. 2 more. Breath out. To release again onto your back, take your left hand and guide your knee upwards. Bringing the right hand to the knee, let your arm fall away and guide your knee across the body for a little twist. Keep it gentle, shoulders on the ground, and you may roll a little bit in and out of the twist. As you return to the center, either to step the foot down or to extend your legs out long. If it feels right for you, and please take care of any shoulder issues, extending your arms over the head as you point down through the toes, breathing in. On the exhalation, pull your knees up and give them both a hug towards the chest. Maybe rocking the body gently from side to side. And either choosing to roll onto the side, then to come onto all fours, or you can rock a few times forwards and backwards to get to that same outcome. As you come up, we will change into an all four stance. Doing so by bringing your knees straight underneath the hips. If your hands are feeling sore or the wrists, you can step up onto fists as well. Otherwise, let your fingers spread out. If you find your knees are too tough on the floor that you're practicing on, a blanket or a doubled up mat under the knees might be nice. When you next inhale, raise your right arm and open your body to the side. And when you exhale, try not to touch the floor. Reach underneath your arm across to the opposite side. Inhale, lift the arm again, open. Exhale and thread it through. One more, take a breath in and open. And as you breathe out, just coming down to rest onto your shoulder, onto your ear. You might look along the floor, and you can also choose what to do with your left arm. You can either keep it resting there, maybe on the fingertips, raising the shoulder. You could crawl your fingertips to the front of the mat. You could lift your arm or wrap it gently behind your back. We'll still work with lots of twists in this season. Also to encourage our digestive system to still work optimally, although we've changed our foods. As you place your hand back down, help yourself to rise up onto all fours. And on the elbows, sit your buttocks back towards the heels. Rise up onto your fingertips though, and feel your spine and your arms lengthening forward. So we've got this beautiful length while the tail is reaching back towards the heels. Let your fingers land again, or your fists. Rise up to all fours. Make little adjustments, such as bringing knees back under the hips or separating feet. I'm not lifting my left arm as such. If you have a similar issue with the shoulder, take a breath in, hand might be in the side, otherwise lift your arm, turn to the side. With the out breath, thread the needle looking underneath your arm. Inhaling, lifting your arm, opening to the side. Exhaling, thread the needle movement. One more. Inhale, open. Exhale, as you thread through, you might rest down to your ear, to your shoulder. Let your gaze be along the mat and either come to fingertips, raise the shoulder, or reach or crawl the hand to the front. Lifting an arm is another, or wrapping it behind the back. Even if you're doing different things on different sides, as long as you're listening to the messages of your body, you're perfectly fine. Keep your gaze along the floor as you breathe in and out. To release, place your right hand back down, lift up on the inhale, sit back to the heels on the exhale. This time keep your hands grounded, lower your gaze. We'll come to a very familiar flow for most. On the inhale, come onto all fours, tuck your toes under and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhaling, bring the knees to the mat, flatten out your feet. Exhale, extended child's pose. So we're finding back to a full yogic ujjayi breath. Inhaling, all fours. Tuck the toes. Exhale, downward dog. Inhaling, knees come down, feet flatten. Exhale, extended child's pose, Hasta Balasana. Inhaling, all fours, toes draw under, exhale, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. And then keep that flowing for another couple of rounds. And concentrate on that is flowing, not so much the postures, just the flow itself. And how adaptable water is when it flows. It moves around above all that is in its way, seemingly embraces the challenges. Inviting you to pause then in a downward facing dog. And maybe finding some not so linear movement. Some weird moving out through the legs, swinging the hips, a turn of the head that releases any potential tension in your neck. And even if the tension is not released, working a bit with gravity to allow us to bring some softness or flow back into the area. And now keep walking as you bring your feet towards the front end of the mat. When you arrive there, just soften down. And then exhale as you're curling up to stand. Let's reach up for the light, the sky as you breathe in. And then draw your hands together and connect them in front of your heart. The thumbs might likely touch towards the sternum as you stand on both of your feet, tall, strong, elbows soft. Steady your gaze or close the eyes for a moment. As we do in winter, we're focusing on our base. That is the base of the spine as well as the base on which we stand, our legs and our feet. And we'll try and connect to the heart space as we focus inwards, allowing ourselves to connect to our higher self, and with that to the universe. On your next inhalation, reach your arms up, maybe open your heart, bring the hands to touch, and exhale with soft knees, bow forward. Inhaling, lengthen your spine, half lift. Exhale, fold. Let's do that a few more times, waving up as you lengthen your spine to the edge of a waterfall, and let the water fall as you soften your knees to bend. Keep that going, 3 more breaths. As you fold after, lifting the right foot, step it back into a lunge. If you want more support, your knee can come to the mat. Otherwise, inhale, soften this lunge. And on the out breath, roll it up into standing. Raise your arms as you breathe in. And bring the hands back to touch in front of your heart as you come into your lunge. If your back knee is off the floor, allow a little bend into it. So the hips are in balance, we're standing tall. Everything from here as usual is optional. As you breathe out, turn towards the front knee side. Again, an option to stay here or on another out breath, leaning forward, elbow to the thigh or the outside of the knee. Finding a bit of pressure if it's the outside of the knee, knee against elbow, vice versa. A twisted lunge. And let your hands release to the mat. Step your foot back, downward dog. Inhale now, rolling the spine forward, find a plank or a kneeling plank. And exhale as your elbows remain close. Lower down onto the front of the body. Let the forehead come to rest. On the inhale, lift your head, chest, and maybe your hands too. Ground actively through the tops of the feet. A floating cobra. And let your hands release, your forehead come to rest. Inhale, find up onto your hands and knees. And breathe out to stretch back to the extended child's pose. If you like, you can stay here for a couple of breaths, or you can come to all fours on the inhale, either to stay there or to breathe out to rest in a down dog for a couple of breaths. Walking your feet to the front end of the mat. On the inhale, your half lift or the edge of your waterfall. With the out breath, soften down. Keep your knees soft and reach your arms up as you breathe in. With the exhale, draw the hands down in front of your heart space. Again, stand tall, think of your foundation, the feet as they actively ground. Mula Bandha lightly on, lower abdomen towards your tail. Connecting to the breath and the space of the heart. On your next breath in, raise your arms, maybe open your heart. Bring your hands to touch as you soften the knees and fold. Exhaling. Inhaling, lengthening the spine forward, a half lift. On a breath out, stepping your left foot back. Knee can be on the mat or we collapse this lunge. And rolling it up to stand on a breath out. Raise the arms and open your gaze. Inhale. On the exhale, let your hands come back to rest at heart center. If your knees off the floor, please bend it a little. Find your connection to the earth that supports you as you breathe in. On the exhale, just as an option, turning towards the side where your knee is in front. And if you want to go even deeper on your next out breath, lean forward, an elbow to thigh or outside of knee. If it's the outside of the knee, there's a bit of pressure between those two. The back leg might fully extend in this shape. Then release. Your hands to the mat, your footsteps back, down the dog. On an in-breath, roll the spine forward. Find a plank or a kneeling plank. Elbows close as you exhale to lower onto the mat. Press the forehead down and take your hands wider than the mat. Only come onto fingertips as if your hands are building cups. Still ground to the tops of the feet so your knees are lifting, but lift your feet if you've got lower back issues. On the inhale then, lift your head and chest for a strike in Cobra. On an out breath, drop your right shoulder down and look over your left elbow. Keep your chest up if possible. Inhale, lift again into center. And the left shoulder comes down as you look over the right elbow. Let's repeat that once to each side. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. And exhale to slowly release. Let your forehead come to rest. Slide your hands down by your sides. Inhale onto all fours. And let your hips sit back towards the heels. Pause in this child's pose for a couple of breaths. Extending the arms again as you inhale, come to all fours to stay or to tuck toes, and a breath out for another down dog. Find yourself resting here. 2 full breaths. And then walking your feet again to the front side of the mat. Inhaling, extending your spine, edge of your waterfall. Breath out and soften down into your forward bend. This time to lift up to standing, curl up through the spine on an out breath. Again, lift your arms as you inhale. And bring the hands to touch, connecting to the heart on the exhale. We'll pause here in the mountain. Connecting again to the earth. Or you can start to think about roots growing down into the earth. But we're still very much connected to our inner true self. We'll shift the weight lightly towards the left foot, bending the right knee and letting the knee open out to the side. Choices, foot on foot, heel to ankle, foot to lower leg, assisting the foot to the inner thigh, or even taking your foot into your hip crease. It doesn't matter which variation you're choosing. Hands might touch in front of the chest, Vrikshasana, tree pose. You either balance here, which is perfect as is, or you can extend your arms, extend your chest and heart, maybe even challenge the balance by lifting your gaze. Inhale as you raise your knee. And then as you exhale, step your foot far back and lower the heel. Let's straighten the legs and take a breath in to lift the arms all the way. Then bend the front knee again and interlace your hands behind your back. As you draw the arms down the back or even away from it, open your heart as well. Neck is happy, also open throat and gaze. Feel the strength from the feet lifting you up in your heart as you inhale. And then with the exhale, lean forward, landing with your left shoulder towards the inside of the knee. Lower the head. Maybe lift your arms, otherwise arms can rest down if your shoulder feels a bit sore. Grounding down to the outer edge of the back foot there, so you can look underneath the arch of each foot if you were to. Then let your hands release to the mat. Raise the back heel, lengthening through the spine. Crawling your fingers a little bit further forward here. And lifting through the spine and the leg behind. If that works for you, it's okay if you keep your foot grounded. On the out breath, lower your nose to the standing leg, either both feet on the ground or your right leg pointing upwards. Let us bend the right knee in the air and gently touch it behind the left. Landing just the ball of the foot and the toes down behind and across. And bending into both of your knees. As you keep your knees bent, roll up through the spine. Take a breath and lift your arms. And then pull down with fists of fire as you sink into your knees. You can use your hands on the floor if you like, or just come to sit down like myself. Your left foot in the front can either be in front of your shin or on the outside of your knee, depending on where it's right for you in your seat. Place your left hand fingertips behind. Bring the right hand against the knee or the right elbow wraps around. As you exhale, turn into your twist. We'll stay here for a little, so close the eyes or steady your gaze. Find slow, deep breathing again. Stimulation here of our digestive system as we're massaging the organs and the tummy. And as you next inhale, turn your head to the front. I will give you various options. You've currently got your left foot sitting here on the ground. If a half pigeon is not yours, please roll down onto your back. Bring your left ankle onto your right thigh. If you want to face the front, swing the left leg all the way behind you. Then lift your hips up as you find your half pigeon stance. Your knee aligns with your hip. We're opening through the heart, inhaling, and then with the exhale, leaning forward onto the hands, the forearms, or even the forehead. So if you are lying on your back, it is your left ankle on top of the right thigh, and you might lift your foot up or not, and hugging the legs in like a figure 4 instead. Otherwise, it might be on the front of your body, and encouraging your toes to remain in alignment with your hip as you focus your awareness within. The mind will likely start to wander, guided back to the heart space, the movement of the breath. If you are on your back, slowly find your way onto all fours. If you're on your front, step your hands back down, lift the upper body, maybe even come to your fingertips and open the heart again, inhaling. And let your hands lower, tuck the back toes under, and for all the option of stepping into down dog, that is already moving to encourage flow back into the legs, hips. And then walking your feet to the front end of the mat. Take a half lift to the edge of your waterfall and breathe out to bend. Take your time, and with the exhalation, curling up vertebra at a time as you rise to stand. Lift your arms and open your heart, inhaling. And then bring the hands back to touch in front of the heart as you stand again in mountain pose. Oftentimes after those movements takes a moment to actually feel grounded again. And please take this time to encourage your breath to still flow. For yogic breaths, belly, ribs to collarbones, in and out of the nose, maybe your Ujjayi technique edit. To open your eyes, please steady your gaze. Shift your weight to the right foot, bending your left knee. All the choices are here just as they were on the other side. And yes, we encourage the same move on each side, but sometimes the body is not the same on each side and you can make different choices. As long as you leave your foot away from the knee, we're fine. And if the foot is any higher than the knee, create a bit of pressure between leg and foot and leg. Wherever you're at in your tree, you can hold your hands in front of the heart, or you can choose to open them up into branches, maybe even a lift of the gaze toward the ceiling. Inhale, lift your knee and raise your arms. Bring your hands back to the heart and take a big step back, grounding through the whole foot. Lengthen your legs and lift your arms again. Inhale. Then bend the front knee, and as you bring your arms behind, change them to a very odd interlace, aligning knees with toes. Draw the arms down or away from your back. Maybe lift heart, open throat and gaze. And breathe into the heart, inviting the energy, the light. With an out breath, leaning forward, right shoulder towards the inside of the front bent knee to give it guidance. Arms may rest on the back or lift away. Both feet arches are risen, the back foot quite distinguished, leaning into the outer edge of its back foot. Humble the head as you bow before your most inner true self. That noise. Then release your hands, bring them around your front foot, lift your heel. Take your fingers a little forward. You can draw the foot in or even lift it, lengthening through the spine, pointing out through the toes if the foot's off the ground. Inhale. On the exhale, either standing forward bend or raising your left toes to the ceiling, your nose still moving to the knee, standing split. Then bring a bend into the knee that is lifted or behind to touch it behind the other knee. Lower the foot down behind and across. Have a bend in both of your knees and start curling up through the spine. As you lift your arms up, inhale. And then start to pull down with fists of fire. You can use your hands on thighs, on the floor, however you might need them as you lower down to sit. Now your right foot on the ground, either outside of the knee or in front of the shin. Placing right hand fingertips behind, your left hand or elbow wraps around the knee. And with an exhalation, come into a twist. Well worth to close the eyes or really steady your gaze as we hold here. With your leg drawn in towards the abdomen, we're getting a good, healthy stimulation, not just of the digestive tract, but all of the organs that lie within the belly area. As we breathe, there's a further stimulation. All the lymph nodes that are sitting around the abdominal cavity that get squeezed and released as we move against the leg with the breath. With your next inhalation, turning your head forward. And the same here. If you want to lie down on your back instead of a half pigeon on the front body, please feel free to do so. Right ankle to the thigh in that case. Otherwise, you might bring your hands down. Take that right foot that's grounded. Swing it all the way behind as you lift your hips, aligning your knee with the hip, coming onto the fingertips. As you're breathing in, lengthening and opening, and with the exhale then carefully lower onto hands, forearms or forehead. Feeling back into the extension that goes way beyond the ankle into the toes. And bringing the awareness right back inside. As a chance for love, as that is all that matters in the end. There's a chance for peacefulness. Keeping the flow of your breath going, connecting to water. Remind yourself of this very moment in which you are by turning back to the breath awareness if your mind is wandering. As we slowly roll again onto all fours if you're on your back, or stepping up onto hands or fingertips. If you're on the front of the body, lift your heart for a deep breath in. But this time, as you breathe out, lower down to sit. Taking your legs out in front and widening the legs too. If you prefer to roll up the end of the mat, please simply do so. Hold that underneath your buttocks. It might assist you with your forward bend. With the legs open, we're also flexing the feet. You can shuffle a little bit from side to side to find the spot for your sitting bones, much better than pulling the flesh out from underneath. Resting your hands down into the center. I suggest you close the eyes just to eliminate any ideas of what others look like in the pose, or if you can see your mirror image on the screen. As you breathe in, feel yourself grounded. Breathe into the heart space. And as you exhale, lean a little bit forward from your hips, and you may adjust your hands or arms accordingly. Your head can face towards the floor depending on how far you go. And just remaining in that position, allowing longer exhalations. And if you like, that gentle activation of the lower abdominal muscles drawing in towards the tailbone on the out breath. And relaxing that engagement as you inhale. You can repeat that as you rest in Upavista Konasana, wide-legged, seated forward bend. We are wide open here in our foundation with the base of the spine, so grounding towards the floor, the earth. Allowing us still to bring the awareness within as you might relax your head. Few more breaths. Wherever you are, lift about halfway out of the shape as you breathe in. And on the exhale, coming back to sit. Please draw your legs together. And if you have your socks and jumpers nearby and you would like to wear them for relaxation, this could be a good time to pop them back on. Otherwise, we will extend our legs out in front whenever ready. Taking a breath in to reach towards the toes, and then draw your fists of fire in as you lie yourself down. And the same as with the sitting, if you need support, please do so with hands and arms. As you come to lie down, step your feet up onto the ground, adjust your back, and then lift both feet and both hands up towards the ceiling. Let your shoulders drop back to the mat so your arms are a bit wider apart. Your legs are apart too, but only hip distance. You might already notice the downward flow from hands and feet. And I encourage you to start a few jiggles. Jiggle through the legs and jiggle through the arms. Letting all of that slowly drop down. After a little while of jiggling, and you're your best to judge here when to stop, let that stop, but leave your limbs pointing upwards and enjoy that tingling sensation of the downward flow for a little bit. Everything coming back together in the torso. To complete, give your knees a hug. If you like, have a last rocking movement from side to side. Before you might step your feet to the ground, drop your knees together, or extend your legs out. For your resting pose or shavasana, I suggest your arms falling a little away from the body, palms facing up. But on top of that, I encourage you to touch your thumb together with your little finger. If you find this is rather distracting, no problem, just relax your hands. If you can hold at least for a little while thumbs to touch your index fingers and the other fingers softly extended, then do that. That is the mudra, the hand position that also works with the water element. And for that reason, I would encourage you to pause with the mudra. As you rest, notice that there's something that always flows, which is the breath, whether that's smoothly or around obstacles, can change and vary. But while we spend time in this body, the breath is flowing. Notice that with the loop of your fingers, the energy might change within. And if you like, you can imagine yourself resting by the side of a stream or a river, listening to the sound of the water flowing, listening how it swirls and embraces the branches, the stones, whatever lies on the way. And sometimes takes things that also flow with it downstream. Just be there, observe or visualize the stream. Everything just flows. It's aligned with the universe, at ease and peaceful within its flow. There's something that is not quite flowing in your body, in your mind, in your emotional being. Visualize that as that branch or that stone that lies within your stream, how it's incorporated into the flow. Maybe at some stage becomes lighter and just flows with the water, as you might see it float away. If you're still holding the mudra, let your fingers relax. You might even move them lightly. And then turn back to the flow of the breath. In and out. Like the stream always flowing. Deepening the breath and bringing further movement into your body. Maybe it starts with the fingers and the toes. You could extend even into some stretching. Take yourself in your own time and in your own way to join me in a seated pose. When you do come to sit, bring your hands back together and touch your thumbs to the sternum to reconnect to the heart. Our anchoring point to focus within, to rest within in this season, to nourish and to take care of ourselves so everything keeps smoothly flowing. Finish our practice with the sound of Om, 3 rounds, connecting with the universal sound, with the universe that lies within and surrounds us, connects us. Let's start breathing in for the first Om. Bowing your head as you lift your heart into your hands at the same time. From this inner peaceful state, lightly bowing, extending to each other. Namaste.